The purpose of Act 46 is specifically lined out in Section 2. Number one, to support and encourage local decision making. But then going on, they talk about fiscal efficiency. They talk about increasing opportunity. Those are the things that they want to do. And if a district can show that they're accomplishing the purposes of Act 46, does it make any sense at all to merge them just because it's possible? When they're doing great, when they're exceeding any possible goal? But this agency never established a single standard for determining whether or not these districts, like Barnard, like Franklin, like Montgomery, that have extraordinary test results, that are doing it for far less than other districts in the state, they never even established a single standard. When there is no standard, when there is no measurement, there's no right to deference. They had a duty, and they never complied with that duty. And therefore, we have great school districts at risk today because we have an agency and a board, an agency that didn't do their job and a board that was misled, a board that should have had independent counsel and never did. I would suggest that it was clear that these agencies were supposed to evaluate all of these Section 9 proposals because that's what the board's very own rules say. In Section 3440.11, the board's rules say this board is supposed to evaluate these proposals on their merits. And when you look at what they did, it's clear it never happened. Not once. And I want to say something about the consideration of geographic isolation, because that's an important issue. Parents who put their children on Vermont buses in the wintertime, going over mountain roads, have justifiable concerns about safety. And when the board takes 30 seconds to consider the issue of geographic isolation in Montgomery, they haven't done their job. If the parents in Montgomery are concerned about putting their children on a bus where there have been 85 accidents in 1 year, I believe, and the board spends 30 seconds considering that, that's not enough, and that's not evaluation. Finally, I want to talk very briefly about small schools grants, because we have a situation today in Vermont where some of the wealthiest schools in the state of Vermont are going to get guaranteed money in perpetuity. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions over the years. Fayston, Moortown, some of the wealthiest towns in the state of Vermont, guaranteed to get money. Well, what we have where I live up in the Northeast Kingdom with Lowell and Coventry and Irisburg, they are being held to a double standard. And the test is not a rational basis test. There is heightened scrutiny when we're talking about education funding in Vermont, and that's what we're talking about. In Lowell, we're talking about a small schools grant of about $100,000, 8% of their budget, 2 teachers. You take a small school like Lowell, you take 2 teachers out of that school, and you've destroyed it. And when you want to know where is their poverty, 80% of their children are on free and reduced lunch. Those kids have greater needs. And I love Fayston. I've worked in Fayston. I worked for ski resorts. I love Moortown. I love Waitsfield. I love Warren. They put a roof over my head. They put food on my table. But I understand those towns don't have the needs of Lowell. The classroom in Lowell has a lot more needs with a lot more alcoholism, behavioral problems, dysfunctional families than they do down in Fayston. To set up a system that denies those children the right to the same amount of money is absolutely untenable in the state of Vermont.